Hello and welcome to our Arcanum of Steamworks and Magic Obscura blind Permadeath playthrough. Today we shall be reading the manual, because why not? Old school games deserve a manual read, so let's do that. No single volume to it has yet collected all 6,000 years of Arcanum's recorded history. Indeed, many would argue that it is impossible to approach such a gargantuan subject within the course of a single book. When I was a younger man, it was my bright ambition to write the definitive history of all Arcanum, but I never imagined for a moment that it was possible. Give me a second, this is still too now. Alright. Alright. Instead, I labored for many decades, traveling from place to place in my researches, and produced no fewer than 23 detailed volumes, which I dare to call the complete stories. The arrogance of youth. I now believe that compiling the entire history of Arcanum in a great detail is a task well beyond the reach of any man. In my travels, I had the occasion to sift through many of the world's great libraries and scriptoriums, searching always for the most ancient books, scrolls, tablets, which were legible. Arcanum's history revealed itself to me slowly, showing first one phase, then another, as I spent weeks, months, and even years in transcription and translation. But for every precious source document which had been recorded on a sturdy clay tablet, a sheaf of hammered gold, or a roll of soft vellum, there were 100 papyri which were as dry and fragile as old leaves, and 100 more which have crumbled into illegible fragments. The millennia of knowledge contained therein were an imminent danger of being lost forever, and in some cases they were lost even before I arrived. Both the Elvish and Darwin races are possessed of rich oral histories which chronicle events even more remote and arcane than those recorded by their scribes, but these oral traditions are hard to come by for those outside the appropriate race and culture. I've rarely been privy to them. Perhaps it is best as the line between fact and myth grows less clear and further one looks behind, that the transcription of oral histories is more properly the work of a folklorist than a historian. Whenever possible, I always attempted to keep my own chronicles well grounded, in fact, erring on the side of discretion rather than speculation or untoward credulity. Over the years, I found that it's rather easier to believe a well-told dramatic story than improve one that is true. Lately, a number of scientific theories have been put forward as to the history of Arcanum civilized peoples. Contrary to what one may assume after reading the arguments of Mr. John Beddoes, it was in fact the elves and dwarves who first reached what we might consider civility thousands of years ago. It is from these elder races that the first true historical traditions can be traced. Gnomish culture appears to be quite a bit younger than either of these, although the lack of recorded historical documents made available to human researchers might be attributed to the secretive nature of their society. Human development, by contrast, appears to have been much slower. Only in the last 2,000 years have humans produced any significant cultural art and literature. Of course, there are exceptions to these general rules, but prior to a few thousand years ago, most of humanity seems to have consisted of little more than illiterate nomadic tribes, barbarian hordes, and cave-dwelling hunters. One cannot speak for the recent history of Arcanum without addressing the growing dichotomy between magic and what has been known as technology. My research has shown to me a direct correlation between the widespread use of these two forces and an increased level of societal development. Are not the elves the true discoverers of magic, or as Bedus has suggested, the eldest children of the magical age? Were the dwarves not the fathers of technological tradition, centuries before the advent of Mr. Bates and his steam engines? Humans, it seems, have now inherited the scientific legacy of the dwarves, and does it not appear that we are now poised for what might be called a golden age of cultural expansion and hegemony? This simple volume, in painting a clear picture of the past, may also shed some light on what we might expect in the years to come. A wise man once said that those who do not study history are doomed to repeat it. To this I will add that today's future is simply tomorrow's history, waiting to be born. I also believe that if we are to have any clear notion of where we're going, we must know where hence we have come and what has gone before us. It is not to this end that I have condensed this history. Alright. So that's basically the reason I'm reading this book. I want to understand the dichotomy between technology and what? And magic. I think I'm going to play a technological supremacist, or I will think on the name. Basically, that's what I'm planning to do. So, let's proceed. Foretold to a brief history of Arcanum by Julius Crenshaw. The following is accepted from Principia Technologica, are reprinted with permission of the publisher. Great. Chapter the 4th on the eternal conflict between the natural and supernatural forces. Up to this point, our experiments have served only to illustrate the principles of natural law. The purpose of the exercises in this chapter, however, is to demonstrate the fundamental conflict between natural law and its nemesis, supernatural law. Natural law being represented by a variety of simple technological devices, while supernatural law is embodied by an equally simple magical device. Like all our experiments, these exercises were chosen for their lucid design and straightforward execution. They should prove suitable for students of all ages. Laboratory 1. The inclined plane. As you may recall, we have demonstrated the inclined plane and explained its uses in a previous lesson. This is a simple machine, the purpose of which is to reduce the difficulty of moving objects from place to place. Even the simplest country farmer understands the uses of this device. It is always easier to push a heavy load down a ramp than it is to push the same load across even ground. There are two principles of natural law at work, but one that concerns us in this experiment is not as friction, so we're studying Newtonian mechanics. Great. Here we have an object upon the inclined plane. For purposes of this experiment, we have chosen a simple block of stone. Note that the inclined plane C is placed on a sharp angle. Block A will automatically begin to slide down the plane without any extra force being applied. Remember the farmer's load upon the ramp. If the ramp is steep, it does not need to push the cart at all. It will roll down on its own accord. On the other hand, block A will not slide on its own accord if our inclined plane is given a lesser angle. There is some innate resistance to its motion down the plane. This resistance is what we call friction. The lower this coefficient, the smaller the angle the plane must be in order to make the block slide. Begin the experiment. Okay, when can I think skip all this? Introduce a magical artifact into the system. Slowly bring it down the vicinity of inclined plane C. Notice that block A begins to slide haltingly downward. The angle of the plane has not changed, nor has the nature of the block, but the magical artifact slightly alters the coefficient of friction. This alteration is unstable and unpredictable. causing the block to slide in a variable manner. In this same unpredictability and instability in all magical effects, which makes compensation for these effects on a machine impossible. Even a small change in the coefficient of friction can and will cause gears to grind, belts to break, cogs to catch and stick with disastrous consequences. Okay, now I understand. So they are saying technology is so complex that magic cannot mix with it. Or not, let's not say complex. Technology requires a degree of detail and, let's say, synchronization between moving parts that's impossible if you introduce magic and its unwieldy nature. Alright. The principle of the pendulum was discovered by early technologists. Okay, technologists, that must be. As you may recall, it was early established that the period for the back and forth oscillation of any pendulum. Okay, now matter. Alright. Let's see. Let us start with our second experiment, then with 3 pendulums. Begin by setting 3 pendulums on a swing. While they are swinging, measure their periods with a pocket watch or water clock. Our first superficial observation is that the pendulums with longer rods swing more slowly than those with shorter rods. In fact, the period of a pendulum is mathematically exact, and it can be expressed with a formula. To find the period, we only have to extract the square of the root of the rod's length. Now introduce the magical artifact while the pendulums are swinging. Now, how the swinging becomes erratic. Some pendulums swing more slowly while others swing faster than we would predict by use of our mathematical formula. The variance in these periods of the pendulums is no longer proportional to the length, mass, or arc of the rod. The only factor is the proximity of the offending artifact, and even this is not reliable enough to predict. But with our first experiment, the variance is wild. The consequences for any machine which depends on regular oscillations for its function are immediate and catastrophic. In the presence of supernatural force, clocks will go awry, engines throw their rods, Methron stands a tantarella, and it is an unavoidable side effect of disrupting the natural laws associated with oscillation. Laboratory number 3, the electric circuit. In our final demonstration, we will use the self-same electric circuit which we built in the last week's lesson. As you will recall, this is a machine of very simple design. A small battery serves as our source of electromotive force, driving its current across a resistance. Okay, for the purpose of this experiment, the wires used to form the circuit can be assumed to be of negligible resistance. Recall that when the circuit is closed, using switch B, a potential difference is created between the battery and the bulb. According to natural law, electricity flows from the highest potential to the lowest, following along the path of least resistance, the wire. As a result, the filament with the bulb glows because electricity is passing through it. However, when the circuit is opened again, no path is available for electricity to follow and the bulb goes dark. Okay, now introduce a magical artifact. Notice that the bulb immediately begins to flicker. The artifact appears to sporadically disrupt the electric potentialities inherent in the circuit and electricity, which would normally flow from highest to lowest in a predictable fashion. Now flows back and forth along the wires in a hazard confusion. No insulative substance has yet been discovered to shield the machine from this effect. Accordingly, the presence of supernatural force continues to wreak havoc to any machine which requires a steady flow of electricity for proper functioning. Please take a special note, because our electrical circuit is very small and our battery is not possessed of any great power, we are not in any particular danger. The same cannot be said exposing larger and more complex machines, which marshal far more powerful energies to the disruptive influence of supernatural forces. The result of disrupting electrical potentials within a machine which harbors a great deal of electromotive function cannot be convenient at nettles but downright explosives. Alright, getting started, we prepared you to the game. Okay, so now I understand why technologists hate magic users. Because their very presence can destroy machines. For those lacking the patience to endure the long and complex process of creating a character on one's own, the makers of this fine game have provided a means of escaping the unwelcome tedium. Yes, gentle player, you can begin your sojourn with all haste. Okay, we're going to skip this. I think I'm going to make my own character for sure. Multiplayer, no way. A brief overview of how characters are made. The character creation system employed by Arcanum is based upon points. In practical terms, this means that every statistic, skill, magic spell, and technological discipline in the game will cost the player one of his or her character points. All characters begin with certain statistical values by default. During the process of character creation, the player can spend those points. Alright, that seems straightforward. In addition to those alterations, the player may choose a race, a color for background story, and this will also affect the abilities that the character begins the game. Alright, sure. Choosing one's own name and face, that seems nothing that I'm really interested. The importance of good breeding or the right choice of gender and race. The player's choice of gender is not without far-reaching implications. This delicate decision will of course determine how one is addressed by the courteous folk of Arcanum, but regardless of where one is a sir or a madame, there will also be more practical sides. Gender has direct impact on a character's personal statistics, and in the course of the game, certain quests may arise which will be available only to ladies, while others will be reserved for the gentlemen. In some cases, there may even be quests which have two different solutions depending on the gender of the character. Once the matter of one gender is settled, there are other actions of birth which must be attended. The choice of race will modify some of the statistics, skills, and other attributes of a character, including how non-playing characters will react to his or her presence. In the main, however, Arcanum is playable with any combination. Pray do not concern yourself overmuch with being unable to complete your adventure should you choose an unfortunate combination. The adjustments to statistics and derived statistics which result from one selection of gender and race are displayed in the right-hand panel of the interface, so one can easily see these choices affecting one's character. Do note that changing race or gender will change the portrait. Alright. I think so far I'm leaning towards a dwarf. A dwarf. If I'm going to be a technologist, I think a dwarf is the way to go. That hates elves in particular and magic users in general. Alright, Scared for Life, or the tragical history of one's character, being a few words on the subject of background. Having selected the most desirable combination of race and gender, the player may now choose background for his or her character. A background, of course, is a description of the character's life history to date, describing those formative events which have significantly altered him or her in some manner. One's background always has its positive and negative aspects, naturally, and these positive or negative aspects will generally balance one another. Bear in mind, however, that the selection of one's background, race and gender are the only possible way to lower some of the character's statistics or abilities. In the character creator, it is possible only to raise these attributes. Of course, backgrounds are entirely optional and not at all required. If we select no significant background, the character will not be modified in any way. It can be assumed that his or her childhood was perfectly normal and satisfactory. A last word to the adventurers: many backgrounds are race or gender specific. Okay, I think we're going to choose something so my character has some personality and I don't have to make it all up. A player's constant companion, the character-ator. Finally, we press the right arrow and come to the last bulk of our duties in creating a character, and see for the first time a screen to which we will often return in the course of the game. This is the character editor. Alright. Spells and technological disciplines of which his or her character is possessed. The strongest among us quail at the sight of this complex interface. But do not despair, gentle player. Those uninterested in purchasing any specific attributes for a character may ignore these complex matters entirely and employ one of Ernest J. Lazyman's simple auto-level schemes. I doubt I'll do that. From thence, one can simply move on to our final words for the chapter on buying equipment. The most important rule in the character editor is simply this: every attribute in the game costs 1 point. Every skill, statistic, spell, or technological discipline will cost 1 point, no matter its current value. No matter its current value? What? Okay, keeping this in mind, it should not be unduly difficult to decide where points should be spent. A wise player will also be able to plan future purchases. We recognize that learning to use the character editor interface may seem a daunting task at first. To assist you in this difficult area, however, your Electro Dynamo has been provided with a helpful gremlin, which will give you hints on how to proceed. When you hover over any area of the character's editor, a brief message will be displayed explaining the statistics, skills, etc., upon which you have a line. In addition to a description, the gremlin's message will also reveal any prerequisites which may be necessary in order to possess this skill. Technological disciplines, for example, require a minimum value of the intelligence. Okay, intelligence. Let's start annotating stuff. So I need intelligence. Let's do it on a week. Give me a second, please. Shit. Oh, fuck. I think it's here. I need. There you go. I need something to write. Ooh, that's not good. Alright, so I need intelligence apparently, so Arcanum, I need intelligence, then for technological barriers, schemes, schematics, struck with amnesia, general information, and where one find it on the display. It is in the unlikely event that one has already forgotten the decisions one made just moments ago on a character's most general description. There is no need to panic. Within this area, the player is given the most basic information concerning her character. Okay. The 8 basic statistics, a subject of some importance. Any given character is possessed with 8 statistics, 4 of these being physical and 4 cerebral. In both categories, the physical and the cerebral, statistics fall in 4 groupings. These 4 being power, skill, resistance, and appearance. Thus, power is the body's strength, while the mind's power is intelligence. The body's skill is dexterity, and the mind's skill is perception. The body's resistance is known as constitution, in the mind it is will, and the body's appearance is beauty, while the attraction a mind may hold is called charisma. Alright. Alright, interesting. These statistics cover a broad range of characteristics in the game, but they can be described briefly as follows. Strength. Being the raw muscle power of a character, strength determines how much physical damage the character can inflict with a blow, as well as how many blows he can withstand. Okay, so strength is HP. What? How many items can carry, how far any given item can be hurled. Some weapons have a minimum strength requirement. Person without sufficient brute strength will be unable to wield them. The variation is STD. Dexterity. Being the overall body coordination of the character, this statistic affects the character's performance in more skills than any other. The abbreviation is DX. Affects the character's performance in more skills than any other. Okay. Constitution. Being the body's limit of endurance, this statistic determines how easily a character will become fatigued, the rate of healing, and his or her resistance to poison. So strength determines my health and constitution my fatigue. Okay. Let's annotate that because it doesn't seem very... Okay, strength is health. Strange. While constitution is fatigue. That seems crazy. Dexterity is important, it seems. Dexterity. Skills. Alright. Beauty. I'm going to be an ugly dwarf, even if I'm a female. Intelligence. Being the measure of a character's cerebral power, intelligence has an impact on several skills, as well as being the limiting factor in the learning of spells and technological disciplines, and for maintaining spells. Also, a character's verbal acuity is based primarily on his or her intelligence. A person of low intelligence has distinctly limited choices in dialogue. Perception. The character's general sensitivity and alertness to immediate surroundings. Perception has a significant impact on the character's ability to use ranged weapons effectively. Fuck. Are you serious? Okay, I guess I need perception as well. Or strength and go for a melee character. You know what? It seems I'm going for a melee character. Because I need strength for health. So if I am going to be upping strength for that reason, I might as well go melee. So let's put that melee. Willpower. Being a measure of the character's mental toughness and ability to resist mental influences, willpower controls the ability of spells and also determines a character's attitude for haggling, as well as his or her resistance to the effect of spells and skills. Willpower also contributes to a character's hit points and has an impact on his or her level of fatigue. Jesus Christ. So willpower is important as well for a lot of shit. Resistance, health, skills, Jesus. A strong will allows a character to ignore some of a small damage of measure of suffering, be it physical or sheer exhaustion. Charisma. I don't think my character is going to have a lot of charisma in any end. Being the sum of a person's personality and charm, the charisma aura affects a character's wits or her ability to persuade others. Also determines the maximum number of non-playing characters, Jesus, that will follow him or her willingly. Fuck me, are you fucking serious? Okay, let's read beauty. Maybe I missed something important. Being the cosmetic appearance of the character, this statistic will determine where the first response of ordinary persons will be attraction or repulsion. Okay. So charisma I need for companions. Jesus. They really made it difficult to select a few stats to drop. Many have useful stuff. Okay, each of these 8 basic statistics may range from a value of 1 to 20 or more. The human average is 8. Non-human races, however, may exceed the standard limit of 20 if they receive a special racial bonus. Alright. By way of example, dwarves receive a bonus on strength and constitution. Halfling receives a +2 to dexterity. Alright, nice. At this point, the character's statistics may be raised above the default values, as long as one there spends more points than one currently has in the unspent points total. Clicking upon the plus or minus, okay, that seems logical. Having a statistic reach the maximum of 20 or higher is a rare event, and such extraordinary prowess is rewarded in Arcanum. Special ability or bonus is associated with each statistic. A character which reaches this lofty height will receive the benefit as follows. Okay, 20. Double damage in strength. Dexterity speed is 25. 25? What the hell does that mean? Poison immunity. Beauty. Intelligence. Sense invisible. Jesus Christ, there are invisible enemies? But I guess magic users could become invisible. Immune to any spell resisted by willpower. Well, that sounds fantastic. Let's see. Let's try to raise it to 20. Try 20 in willpower. Charisma, 100% loyalty. Followers will never flee and will only leave you if you ask them. Will never flee. Well, actually having cowardly companions will save their ass. So, speed, let's say maybe dexterity, maybe at 20. Don't know how many points. And strength could also be useful, maybe 20. Double damage seems like a good idea, but certainly immunity to spells for a technologist seems like a very good idea. These special bonuses are applicable only while the final value of the statistic in question remains 20 or higher. A character with a natural beauty of 20 upon suffering a scar which reduces beauty by 1 will lose the bonus until healed. Note that this also means that certain races will never achieve certain bonuses due to racial modifiers, unless they receive some other improvement in the statistics question. A half-orc, for example, will never enjoy the bonuses associated with beauty or charisma, because these statistics are reduced by his race. By contrast, a half-ogre is beautiful. Okay, obviously not. Will derive a special bonus from his great strength quite easily, because he receives a large strength bonus from his heredity. This game is really complex. I'm actually liking it. Who knew? Maybe my GPU dying is the best thing that ever happened to me. Alright, let's continue. Putting 2 and 2 together, an enlightening discussion of derived statistics. Every character is possessed of certain statistics which are derived from others. These derived statistics begin at the default value, which is based upon the value of its parent statistic. Much of the statistics cannot be directly modified. Exceptions to this rule would be hit points and fatigue, which a player can buy directly. Amazing. To raise the derived statistic, however, one must generally raise the basic statistic from which it is derived. The statistics are as follows. From strength we derive hit points. Okay, I got that already. This is the measure of the character's current physical well-being. Any person begins with a number of hit points based upon the values of his strength and willpower, and loses some portion of those hit points when his or her body is damaged. In the regrettable circumstance that the character's number of hit points reaches 0, he or she will shuffle from this mortal coil. Hit points are recovered at a rate determined by the derived statistic known as heal rate. Extra hit points may be purchased if the player uses plus or minus buttons on the hit points. Okay, so as I suspected, willpower and strength. Alright, carry weight. This is the maximum weight a character is capable of carrying, measured in stones. The greater the strength, the more she can carry. Okay, so strength is a good choice for dumping points. Damage bonus. A person of great strength can inflict a great deal of punishment in any unarmed or melee attack. There is also a penalty for characters with a lower measure of strength. A halfling's fist does far less harm than a half ogre. Yeah, I agree. Dexterity with armor class is a measure of how likely is one to be seriously harmed should one suffer an assault. A higher armor class is desirable than a lower, naturally. Yeah, of course. Tell that to Gary Gygax, freaking cancer. Alright. AC tackle. Is it tackle or some bullshit like that? To hit AC of 0, some sort of craziness. Okay, so dexterity, armor class, that's good. Speed. This is the base quickest of a character. The base quickness. The higher one's speed, the faster one moves and the more attacks one can make in a given period of time. Logic asserts also that one's speed is necessarily reduced by the weight one carries, and an attack speed must also be affected by the speed factor of one's chosen weapon. Okay, I'm going to annotate that perception is for ranged attacks. Ranged attacks. Because if I die, I might die because I go melee. If that happens, I might have to switch the entire thing around so I can fight from afar. We shall see. From Constitution we write fatigue. This statistic gives us a measure of how much exertion a character can endure before requiring rest. If fatigue reaches 0 or lower, the character will lose consciousness. Spells cause the character a certain amount of fatigue, both to cast and maintain. Carrying a heavy physical burden has the same general effect. Again, see encumbrance rules. Okay, from Constitution, so I need high Constitution, it seems, if I want to fight. Let's say high. What is high? 15? Maybe? Alright. Characters recover from fatigue at a rate proportional to the derived statistic heal rate. More fatigue can be purchased if the character makes use of heal rate. This derived statistic is somewhat self-explanatory. The character heals at a rate proportional to this number. The character recovers fatigue continuously. Hit points recover only during sleep. Jesus. It's like Magic in Baldur's Gate. But they don't say it is derived from what? Heal rate. Derived from what? Okay, whatever. I guess they have said from hit points, and that's willpower and strength. Poison recovery rate. When poisoned, the character's body will eliminate a number of points of poison proportional to this number every few minutes. This will be subtracted from his or her poison level. See game acquired statistics below. If the character rests, the number of units eliminated every few minutes will double. A body freed from other distractions will devote all available resources to purging itself from the offending toxin. Alright. From beauty we derive reaction modifier. Okay, they have explained that already. From charisma we derive maximum followers. A character will never have more willing followers at any given time than this number allows. Please do note, however, that it is also possible for characters of low charisma to have followers of a sort. It is more than possible to gain followers through quests. Okay, so charisma, let's say 10 or something along those lines, so I can bring people around. I don't fancy my chances being alone. Keeping a stiff upper lip or the 5 resistance statistics. Jesus. Resistance statistics are displayed at the bottom of the middle character editor interface. Any character begins with 5 basic resistances, which will range from 0 to 95. Most races begin with 0 in each resistance, except poison, which is based on constitution. Damage, a general measure of one's resistance to damage caused by weapons and physical attacks. Fire, resistance to heat, smoke and flames. Electrical, resistance to damage caused by electricity and lightning, regardless of whether these are generated by force of magic or technological devices. Poison, a resistance to damage caused by any kind of poisoning, be it natural, man-made or contagion by black necromancy. Well, that sounds fascinating. Magic, this is one's innate resistance to magic, and it is similar in nature to that immunity which is provided by technological aptitude. What? Okay. In fact, a creature with both faculties simply adds them together when magic is directed against his or her person. Unlike technological aptitude, however, innate resistance to magic does not affect one's own use of items or spells. Okay, so you're saying if you're a technologist, you won't be able to use magic that effectively, but you will be resistant to magic. Okay. A final caveat: armor, background, race, technological, therapeutics, and magic can modify any of these resistances. Well, that is obvious, I guess. The Self-Made Man, a brief discourse on the subject of game-acquired statistics. Certain statistics cannot be modified before the game begins. They change only in the course of play as a result of one experiences in Arcanum. These game-acquired statistics are as follows. Level: a new character begins his or her sojourn in Arcanum at level 1 and gains additional levels through the acquisition of experience points. Okay, the maximum level any character may achieve is 50. The current level of one character is displayed on the character editor. Alright. Experience points. Any character begins life as a fresh-faced stripling with 0 experience. Alright. Alignment. Ooh. In the spirit of fair play, all characters begin the game with a neutral alignment, and though their own actions will evince an inclination toward either good or evil. This alignment will determine how kindly the character is regarded by certain non-playing characters. It may also restrict the use of certain spells or magical items. Regrettably, it must be noted that an evil alignment is a slippery slope of sorts. While the slaughter of a good creature is always viewed as an evil act, the slaying of an evil creature will not affect your alignment in any way. Only a quest completion can change your alignment in either good or bad. The alignment of one character is indicated by the meter on the character editor. Alright, I guess we're going to be evil then. If we're going to hate magical users just for the fact that they are magical users, We're going to be killing a lot of good people. Okay, reputations. The statistic is given in the plural sense, because a character may enjoy more than one reputation. All characters begin the game with no reputation to speak of, but a certain notoriety may be acquired. Like alignment, a reputation of a kind is based upon one action, and two statistics are closely related. Both can be determining factors in the reception one receives from NPCs, but while alignment tends to shift continuously as the character performs deeds, good and bad, reputations tend to stick. Reputations are reported in the logbooks. Fate points, okay. All characters begin their adventure with 0 fate points, but through the completion of heroic quests, these fate points can be earned. They are spent during the course of the game at those crucial moments when events must be altered in the player's favor. By way of example, a player may spend a single fate point to ensure that the next attack of his or her character will result in a critical hit, or even that the enemy's next attack will critically fail. Damage or injury can be negated with fate points, and spells can be resisted successfully. So it's basically cheat points, or god points, alright? In short, Arcanum rewards its heroes with a bit of good old-fashioned luck. This heavenly reward for early deeds can be distributed at the player's discretion. Fate points are displayed along the top of the main interface bar. Alright, character points. Yeah, buying things. Poison level. Thankfully, all characters begin with a perfectly healthy poison level of 0. This may change if one character is bitten by some manner of poisonous creature or struck by an envenomed weapon. See Chapter 3 in the section entitled Combat for a few words on the consequences of being thus poisoned, and be aware that if a character can be poisoned, his or her hit point bar will turn yellow. Alright. Tricks of the trade, a few words on the subjects of skills. Jesus Christ. By pressing the skill button, the character may view a full display of his or her skills. This display will list each skill the character may enjoy, its rank and its training. All basic skills fall into one of 4 general areas of expertise, and are expressed by 4 buttons at the top of the skill window. These may be marked combat, themed, social, and technological. Each skill is based upon a particular underlined statistic, or BS. Skills begin at a rank of 0 and can never be higher than that of the BS upon which they depend. Okay, and dexterity, bow, dodge, melee, throwing, backstab, pickpocket, prowling? Guess that's exploring, and spot trap. Okay, social, gambling, haggle, heal, intelligence, alright, persuasion, technological, repair, firearms, I knew it, perception, and arm trap, perception. Okay, a person having a dexterity of 10 begins with a low skill rank of 0. He can never raise this skill level higher than a rank of 2 without first raising his dexterity. The chance of succeeding in the use of any skill is given as a mathematical percentage, and this number will increase several percent for each new rank attained. Ranks are purchased with the plus and minus buttons on the right of the skill in question. The increase of one's rate of success naturally varies for each skill, but for any skill a higher rank will automatically translate to a higher rate of success. So while a ranking of 0 may mean that the character is appallingly maladroit and absolutely abysmal at the use of a skill, a rank of 5 will very likely make one's character the most accomplished specialist in Arcanum. Okay, let's annotate that. Let's say optimal skill level. is 5. But this, I don't see how I'm going to be able to do any of that. It seems character points have to be used for all this stuff. For base statistics, for skills, for technology. Will there be enough to be useful in any of that? We shall see. In the course of using a skill, a character may enjoy a critical success or failure. A critical success causes the skill to perform extremely well, while a failure will often cause the character to injure himself. The frequency of any critical situation is proportional to the rank of the skill, with more critical successes and fewer failures as rank increases. All characters begin the game without training in any skill whatsoever, and this training cannot be purchased with character points. Instead, the character must travel through Arcanum, seeking out persons who are accomplished. Either pay them gold or perform a quest, occasionally both, to receive valuable training. Okay, at least there is a way to increase it without spending points. Combat skills. Press the button marked combat, gentle player, and you can display the combat skills on your character as a convenient sub-window. These are skills which are useful in causing others intentional injury and also in avoiding injury yourself. Okay. Combat skills, with the exception of dodge, are defined as active skills, by which we mean to say that the player initiates their use in the game. By contrast, dodge is a passive skill, and a character will dodge instinctively. The ranking of a skill is useful to your electrodynamo machine when the contrivance is calculating the chances of your characters being struck by an enemy or a trap's effect. Okay. Bow. The knack of using classic bows. Dodge. The tendency to leap aside or avoid injury when one is attacked or surprised by a trap. Melee. The ability to land a damaging blow when boxing or striking with a weapon in hand. Throwing. Alright, thieving skills. One can see on a second convenient sub-window. Just as one might guess, these are skills most prized by thieves, although there are many perfectly moral and wholly non-criminal applications of the very same abilities. Alright, backstab. Okay, I know what that means. Pickpocket, prowling. Alright, let's see if this is useful. It makes both delicacy and grace to move quietly, that one is able to avoid detection. Naturally, a character's measure of success is determined by some degree of surroundings and the available light. It is more difficult to hide in brightly lit empty room than in a dark crate-filled warehouse. Armor will affect a would-be prowler's chance of success. Okay, I don't think I'm going to be sneaking. Give me a second, that music is far louder. Alright. Let's continue. Spot trap. Okay, I need someone with a lot of perception as a companion, I can tell you that right now. Or vice versa, if I become a ranged character, someone that's a tank. We shall see. I'm going to play the tank first. Social skills. Okay, let's see what healing means. The skill of healing gives a character the ability to cure wounds and reduce crippling injury. One must make use of bandages or medical kits in order to heal someone. On each use of the skill will deplete one of your supplies. A critical success can do a great deal of good to an injured person, but a critical failure will heal nothing and use up more than the usual measures of one healing supplies. Okay, convince people. I don't think I'm going to be very concerned with persuasion. Technological skills. Finally, we come to a button marked technological. These are skills necessary for successful interaction with any manner of technological contrivances. A word to the wise. Any character points spent in improving these skills will alter the character's magical technological aptitude statistic, just as improvements in one technological disciplines do. The character's interaction with all magical and technological items will be affected. Okay, repair. This skill makes a person handy. Possession of repair gives one the chance to repair a plethora of technological and smithing items, from swords to steam engines to Tesla guns. Firearms. This skill governs the use of all technological projectile weapons. Picklocks, okay. Disarm traps. A few words on the positive effects of training. Training is the best means of improving one's performance in any skill, and training is a separate matter from one's rank. All skills begin as untrained and remain untrained no matter how high the skill of the rank becomes. When a skill is untrained, nothing appears in the skill window next to a skill name. The character must seek and pay for training in order to earn the subtle tricks of the trade and acquire training bonuses that are unique to each skill. There are 3 levels of training. A character may seek out a trainer and pay a small sum for a few level hints. After this transaction, the completely untrained character grows from untrained to apprentice and gains a small bonus. Alright, upon achieving a rank of 3, the character must find an expert trainer to further hone his skill. The ranking of 3 alone is not sufficient to earn the training an expert can give, however. A goodly sum of money will also be required. Upon completing this transaction, the character gains another bonus, retaining the tricks he learned as apprentice. To continue with our previous example, the expert bowman. Alright. Finally, at the rank of 5, the character might seek out a master. Okay, so this optimal skill level of 5 is not... That's the max level, obviously, so let's erase that from mind. The master will require the character to prove his worth, often demanding a quest item which are difficult to obtain, or even expert status in other related skills, in addition to a usual large sum of money. Masters are very rare and seldom make themselves readily available to the public at large, often sequestering themselves in out-of-the-way places to avoid the burdens of their fame. The bonus for a master is once again cumulative. Alright. Common sense dictates that such a training is necessarily sequential. A person untrained in the use of bow cannot become an expert until he has been an apprentice. Okay, let's read this. So I will have to come to this thing. Maybe the game will tell me the character. What page is this? I have no idea. Page 30. Let's annotate that. Page 30. Skill levels for every skill. This is a very useful thing. Let's look at it. Speed of the character with bow is increased by 5, 2 arrows at once. The character chance of success is unaffected by range penalties. Really? So a bow master can hit anyone from across the map. Amazing. Dodge apprentice. On critical success, there is 10% chance the opponent will critically fail. Huh. Interesting. The character will also, but on critical success. Psh, that's bullshit. On critical success. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Okay. So let's see. Skills to level up. Let's make a list. Skills to then up. Dodge, I don't think so. On critical success, that shouldn't happen that often. So I would be putting points on dodge to see a very rare outcome. Look at the bow. The bow is a continuous thing. Does not. It only requires that you actually fire the freaking arrow. Dodge requires a critical success. Fuck that. Melee apprentice. The speed of the character is increased by 5. The character is unaffected by lightning penalties. Okay, so let's, for melee, I want to go to apprentice. Melee, apprentice. Apprentice is level 1, isn't it? Yeah, level 1. Alright, throwing... No, I'm not going to be throwing anything. Backstab. No, I don't think I'm going to be backstabbing people. Pickpocket prowling. The character's chance of success is unaffected by lightning and armor penalties are halved. Lightning, they mean light? What the hell? Lightning, they mean the amount of light. Is that what they mean? How is there a lightning penalty? To hit people in the dark, I mean. They mean. Why don't they say that the lightning penalties? They should say lack of lightning or something like that. I don't know. So obviously it is harder to hit someone in the dark. It makes sense. Unaffected by lightning penalties. Okay, so I might want to go expert here. I don't know how much you will find in places with low lightning, but is there another word? There must be another word for luminescence. I don't know. Let's continue. Spot trap. I'm going to ring someone with a lot of perception as a companion, or I'll be the one with a ton of perception next time around. Gambling, haggle. The merchant's markup is reported to the character. Okay, let's haggle. Let's try to make haggle go all the way up to X master if possible. Heal, obviously. Alright, let's go with heal master as well. Hello lurker, how are you? So there will be plenty of dungeons and nighttime, great. Alright, so yeah, I should go to expert then. Thanks for telling me that. Yeah, I haven't played the game ever. But because this is an old school game, it made sense to read the manual first. Tomorrow we shall be starting the game. Alright. The game proper. Persuasion. Followers will wait for one's character longer than normal. Okay. Persuasion expert. Gain a bonus of 1 extra follower. Persuasion master. Anyone will join regardless of reaction to one's alignment. Alright. Maybe persuasion is not as useless as I thought. Let's go for expert or maybe master. Repair apprentice. Reduction of max XP is only 5%. I don't understand what that means. A repair master can fix broken items, but always at a cost of 5% of max HP. What? I don't understand what they are talking about. But it seems whatever it is I want to go, there is no reduction of max HP except on critical failure. So if I repair, I lose HP? What are they trying to tell me? Okay, I need to look into repair more deeply. Repair. Reduction of max HP. That is very strange. Maybe when I repair something I will notice what the hell they are talking about. Firearms. The speed of the character with a gun is increased. Cold shots are made with 2/3 the penalty. Okay, I'm not going to be a what? A range character. Big lock, I doubt I'll spend points on that. Okay, embracing the technological disciplines. Pressing on, we find the technological disciplines button and display the disciplines window for a nearly completed character. The technological disciplines of Arcanum fall into 8 categories listed below. Holy crap. Smithy, concerned with the construction of armors. Mechanical, concerned with the production of gadgets. Smithy gun, design and creation of firearms. Electrical, mysteries of charged particles and magnetism. Herbology, concerned with the living body and how natural substances affect it. Therapeutics, the beneficial effects of man-made materials. Chemistry, man-made substances and their deleterious effects. Explosives, research and development of unstable substances. Jesus. Okay, smithy sounds good. Electrical, maybe. We shall see how the combat works. I really hope I don't have to become a ranged character. I would much prefer to be in melee combat, but maybe it's too dangerous. We shall see. We'll try melee for sure first. To acquire one of the above technological disciplines, the player must press one of the category buttons at the top of the discipline window. Each discipline contains 7 degrees, the lowest being that of noise and the highest of doctor. If one does not possess any degree in a discipline, one is referred as a layman. Each degree can only be acquired by attaining the degrees previous to it. And any character point spent in the technological disciplines will alter the attitude meter. This alteration in attitude in turn will affect the interaction with magical and technological items. To purchase a degree, press the button adjacent to it. One can negate a degree purchase by pressing the minus button. Please be aware that within any given discipline, each degree must be obtained in the correct order. Alright. Same as skills, you cannot be a doctor without being a master. Well, in real life you could be. For each degree attained by one character, a discipline-specific attitude called expertise will be gained. Expertise is a numerical value which indicates one's understanding of the discipline in question. Expertise in a discipline is directly related to the technical complexity of the items one is able to comprehend. In consequence, expertise directly affects the character's ability to combine items in a productive fashion. Alright. So basically, without being a high expertise, you cannot make shit. Introduction to spells. I think I'm never going to be a mage, no matter what. I may be a mage if everything collapses, but magic in old school games is always extremely complicated. Ernest Lazyman's amazing auto-leveling schemes. There, edit another character by hand. By pressing the scheme button, you can display the auto-level scheme. This window displays the currently active auto-level, as well as a list of other schemes which are available for your use. If the character in question is using no scheme, the player must distribute character points manually wherever the character gains enough experience to raise a new level. However, if the player chooses any other scheme on the list, the character will spend its own character points without demanding the player's time and energy. Each time his character rises in a level, the character will attempt to buy statistics, skills, spells, and disciplines in order based upon his or her active scheme. I don't know. Developers have never been able to auto-level up anything properly in my experience. But maybe these guys knew what they were doing. Troika, isn't it? Yeah. These guys were extremely intelligent. Alright, the player can change his or her chosen auto-level scheme, or go for no scheme. Magical Technological Attitude Meter. This statistic is based upon the number of character points the player has spent either on magical or technological skills. A character with many points in the spells is said to have magical attitude, whereas a character with more points in technological skills and disciplines is said to have a technological attitude. This statistic can range from 100 to 100. Alright, human characters begin with neutral 0. The meter on the right hand of the character editors will display the meter. As the magical attitude of a character increases, his or her use of magical spells and items will be more proficient and effective. By the same token, technological items will work less well for this character and will be less efficacious when used by him or on him. Similarly, technological attitude increases technological items will be used more proficiently, while spells and magical items will not work in his vicinity. So you become like a black hole for magic or technology, basically. Alright. Final preparations for the voyage of a lifetime or buying equipment. Once all character points have been spent, the character may press the lower arrow and move to the very last preliminary stop before we begin our adventures. Buying equipment. This interface is an exact duplicate of the barter interface. Information. Okay, here, gentle player, you may spend your precious starting cash on equipment, which may be useful to you as you take your first tentative steps in a brave new world. Bearing in mind that certain backgrounds may have reduced or even eliminated one's inheritance, while others may have provided one with a surplus or a valuable item, the player should now spend a few moments in thought what things might prove useful in a land where adventure lurks on every corner. Buy or sell as the mood strikes. If prices seem too high, it might be wise to retrace a few steps and improve your haggle skill. When this last minute shopping is finished, press the green arrow and begin to play. What? Like, I think this is a picture of my future character, a dwarven berserker. If you, yeah. Okay, playing the game. Alright. Yeah, today I'm only going to read the manual. I should be able to read for another half hour, and tomorrow we're going to go into a game proper. Let's hope I don't die too often. At last, our adventure begins, and we behold the glory of the main game interface. Always visible to us while we reside in Arcanum, the main game interface may be seen even when other sub-windows are open. Should a sub-window arise which demands the whole screen at once, such as the inventory screen or character editor, a small circular window will appear on the upper left of the screen. Through this small portal, the player's character can still be seen. Clicking the window will close the larger sub-window and return to the main isometric view. Alright, hit points and fatigue gauges. These gauges, I wonder how that is pronounced exactly, show the number of hit points and the number of fatigue. Bottom left and bottom right, okay. Remaining to the player's grave. Behold that both glass tubes are filled with liquid, red for hit points, blue for fatigue. If one character sees poison, the liquid turns yellow. Okay, I remember that. Words to the wise, the messaging window. At the bottom middle of the main interface we find the message window, an area used primarily to display messages to the player and to give one a description of certain notable subjects in the course of our game. Useful information regarding both items and creatures will appear. When hovering over the top of this window, our cursor will become an upward pointing arrow, whereas downward pointing in the bottom half. Using these two arrows, the player can sift easily through previous messages. A few messages, okay. You have leveled up there. Hovering over interesting persons or places, things will provide us with a few salient words on the subject. The description of an NPC will include the person's name, if known, as well as a summary of his reaction to you and a few words out his state of health. A portrait of the being in question will be displayed on the left of the description. Note that all player characters and NPCs and monsters can be sized up in this fashion. Well, that's great. Description of an item will also include a picture of the item on the left. At times, one's surroundings may also occasion some special remark, alright, being as notable in their way as a living creature or an interesting item. If we click the spell or skill button see below, the action will cause an appropriate window to rotate in place over the message window. Alright, the hotkey bank. There are 10 hotkeys. Okay, since I'm going to be playing turn-based, I know you can have real-time or turn-based combat. I think I'm going with turn-based. I won't be using hotkeys. Doubt it. This becomes too bothersome to go through menus. I haven't seen the interface really. Alright, item spell button. Access your spells, which I won't have. Experience gauges are located directly below the hotkey bank. There are two such gauges. One might best be described as the experience bubble, while its partner is best described as the experience bar. The experience bubbles light up from left to right as one character gains experience. They are a measure of how near the character is to reaching the next level. When the rightmost bubble is filled, the character gains a level. The lower bar, by contrast, is a magnified view of each bubble. It shows how near the character is from lighting up the next bubble. Okay. Gold ammo counter. How much gold one is carrying. However, if one character is wielding a weapon and uses ammunition, it will display how many units of the appropriate ammunition you are carrying. Last skill spell. Okay. Sub-window buttons. Each of the 4 buttons in the upper left of the main game interface will bring up separate sub-windows that will completely fill the isometric view. when such a sub-window is opened. As previously noted, a small circular window is placed in the upper left-hand corner, wherein the player will be able to see his or her character in the game. Okay, we have read something like that. The sub-windows are character maintenance. We'll open the character editor, the same editor which was used to create the character. Okay. The player can assign any unspent character points there at any time. However, the player cannot undo any points spent in previous visits. Once the window closes, any changes are permanent. When the character gains a level or is affected by something that changes statistics or skill, this button will light up and stay lit up until the character goes in the logbook. Okay, this seems fairly traditional. Rumors and notes. The quest section. Each tidbit of information is time-stamped, but depending on the state of the quest, the color is different. A quest that has been mentioned to a character but not accepted is black. Quests that the characters has agreed to undertake are blue. Quests that have been completed are green. The quests that cannot be completed are red. Example of a botched quest? Well, perhaps the regrettable instance when we sallied forth to rescue a kidnapped princess and succeeded only getting her killed. Alright. Sometimes we can pull a botched quest out of the fire and botch it, of course. Resurrect the princess. Alright. Reputations. At times of a particular noteworthy deed may make a large group of people love and admire us, where other action might make us feared or despised. Blessings are bonuses granted to a player by a higher power. Similarly, curses are penalties inflicted on the player by some such agent. Blessings are shown in blue while curses are in red. The matters are divinely wrought and considered to be outside both magical or technological realms. Therefore, magic spells and resistance have no effect on blessings or curses. So there are gods, huh? Amazing. The next part of the logbook is called the kills and injuries. This section keeps tracks of enemies killed, as well as serious injuries. Alright. Any serious injury that a character has received, including blindness, crippled limbs, or scarring, is recorded here along with the name of the creature which inflicted it. If the injury has been healed, it is struck out, but it still appears as a reminder. The background section lists the background that was selected. Alright. The last section is the keyring contents. If one character possesses a keyring, this section will list the name of every key on that ring. Alright. The map button and the W key will both make the player take the player to one of two interfaces depending on where one's player is standing. If the character is in the town, dungeon, or any location in a local map, then the map button will appear in the shape of a scroll. If we click on the scroll, we're giving a look at the town map interface. When we see the town map interface, observe that the town map gives us a view of the immediate surroundings. Now a crosshair marks the location of one's character and followers. The compass to the right is always aligned north. Okay, on the left side are two buttons, the world map. Okay, one cannot initiate travel in this world map while one's character stands in a town map area. Should one wish to travel abroad, one must leave town or a dungeon. The other button is the town map button. It will switch us back to a town map. I wonder what what it means to be in a town map. Okay, we shall see. The character will also scroll the map. Okay, this is all stuff I think I can figure out while I'm playing, because I'm running out of time for today's cast. Let's go and look at the inventory. When pressing the next button or using the I key, the player may open the inventory screen. All of the items currently being wielded by one's character are shown on the left hand side of the screen and placed in 9 slots. Each slot is reserved for a certain type. Okay. Fairly normal mechanics. The right hand side of the screen shows the inventory grid, an area that contains an abstract display of all those items which the character carries but does not wield. The total weight of these items in a stone is displayed on the upper left hand. The number in parentheses after the encumbrance line is the amount of weight in a stone, which will begin the next encumbrance level. The total number of stackable items are shown in the right hand side. There is also a pack button which will rearrange the items into the most compact possible arrangement. The button will pack items to the top or the left on alternate presses. Note also that this feature can also be useful in packing the inventory of a follower when one is bartering with them. Okay. Drag stuff. If armor is wielded, the character immediately changes his or her appearance. The character will see this visible change in the circular view window. Wielded weapon and armors will change the attack and defense ratings, these being shown on the bottom corners of his or her wield grid. These ratings are a measure of the character's attack potential with the wielded weapon and defense potential of the wielded armor. These ratings range from 0 to 100, with 0 being the worst. Okay. Items can be used in-game by dragging and dropping them into the use box, which is found on the right-hand side of the screen. The use box glows green if an item can be used at the moment, or red if it cannot. If the item needs a target, the player will be returned to the isometric view and given a target cursor. The player can left-click an appropriate target. Or if the use of the item does not seem necessary, the player can right-click to cancel. Items can be discarded by dragging them and dropping them in the drop box. It glows green if the item can't be dropped. Okay. Fairly logical. Keep in mind, junk piles of this sort can be looted. Alright. So if I get a house, I can drop stuff in it. Items can be thrown by dragging them on the circular view. The player will be returned to isometric view being a target cursor. To select a target for this missile. Okay. I'm not going to be doing a lot of that unless I see traps and I start throwing stuff into the ground or the walls and see if anything explodes. Might be actually useful. Have a bunch of garbage and throwing it around dungeons. Or I could bring someone with good perception. When an event takes place which has a specific reference to any of these 4 sub-windows, the appropriate button will light up and glow red. Alright. Making one's log, the delicate matter of fate points. Okay, I want to read this. When we press the fate point button of F key, we behold a menu filled with possible twists of fate. Full healing, critical hit, and force critical failure would be but a few of one possible choices. When the player picks one of these possible turns of fortune, the number of fate points available for use drops, and the selection either takes effect immediately or is turned green until the effect takes place. To cancel a queued fate event, the player left clicks on the green section and the point is returned. Alright. Sleep and time. Located in the upper right of the screen, a sleep button will bring soothing slumber to a character suffering from exhaustion. When we press this sleep button or the S key, we hold an sleep interface. A playing character will be permitted to sleep in the most wilderness areas undisturbed, but this is not usually possible in towns and cities for obvious reasons. The first citizens of any city, town, and village always distressed by the sight of a drunk and the indigent sleeping upon the ground. The player should try to fling himself down the cobblestones of such an area, and a wait menu will pop out instead. Waiting is very much like sleeping, but health is not recovered. To sleep soundly in an inhabited area, the player must do the decent thing, find an inn and pay. At the player left click a bed which has been paid, the sleep interface will appear, or he can do a smart thing and go to the wilderness and sleep and stop wasting money. Alright. Sleep interface allows a player for two possible options. One can either select a time limit, alright, or sleep until an event has transpired. Alright. The timepiece shown in the upper right corner in the sleep interface is a 180-degree window. It displays the current time of day as well as the phase of the moon. The moon will phase from full to new every 28 days. I guess the spells have something to do with the moon. The current time is indicated by the pointer at the center of the timepiece. Such noon occurs when this pointer is located directly over the sun. The player can also hover over the timepiece and a message will be displayed. Alright. General gameplay. The vast majority of our game is played on an isometric view of the proceedings. In the main, the persons, places, and things which we examine may be perused simply by hovering the cursor over or the mouse over them. When we do so, important information will appear. Yeah, they have said that. When we examine living things, they will display a name, the health, fatigue, yeah. Haha, the picture, nice. I guess hit points could tell me the level of an enemy. That could be a way to kind of metagame it. Okay. Let's see. The icon in the message window will show the player a portrait of followers, but non-followers. An image of the target's race will suffice, unless the character has cast the Sense Alignment spell. This circumstance and alignment icon will be displayed. Additionally, if a character is prowling, one will receive feedback indicating how close the target creature may be to detecting the presence. Alright. Let's continue because time is running short. Running. The player should not hold down the control key while clicking on this location. It will make its character run rather than walk. Control key, okay. Attacking. If the character is in combat mode, Jesus, the left click button will be changed by default to an attack rather than attempt to strike up a friendly conversation. It's also possible to force an attack by holding Alt. Finally, holding Shift will force one character to stand still and attack. Okay. Dragging objects. Outside of combat, the character can drag an item or a corpse by holding Alt. Jesus. This is useful when one must move items which cannot be placed in one's inventory. For example, the inconveniently placed and highly incriminating body of a fallen foe. Alright, Alt and Control for dragging shit. Examining creatures in combats. If the character is in combat mode, a player who hovers the cursor over an enemy will receive useful information. This will display the estimation of the character's likelihood of hitting the creature. If some factor is reducing this likelihood, and the player can affect this factor, when then an icon may appear to indicate the presence of this reduction. Alright. These icons in order from left to right are alright. I cannot remember all that stuff. Encumbrance. When a character, I'm assuming there will be tooltips all over the place. When a character picks up an item with sufficient weight to cross over the new level of encumbrance, the player will receive a message. There are several levels, from light to heavy. Speed. Alright. We are... Okay, my time is up. So I got to combat. Let's move fast. I'm going to say combat should be self-explanatory. Action points. I think it will be more or less like Fallout. That's why I thought turn-based combat was more logical. Because I have played Fallout 1 and 2, and I kind of understand the combat mechanics. Alright, so that's it for today. Tomorrow we shall start the game proper. As I said, I will be playing a technologist that hates elves, because why not? They are the most magical inclined race, and any magic user. We shall try to eradicate magic from the world of Arcanum, if at all possible. Cleanse the land from that foul supernatural force which destroys technology and makes impossible the true progress that knowledge will bring the world. But until then, I hope you have a nice day, and if you would like to see a playthrough, which will start tomorrow, please consider following. Until then, have a pleasant day. Goodbye, and thanks for watching, and thanks Lurker for your note that I will be in a lot of dungeons and fighting at night. I actually didn't know there was a time mechanic, a day-night cycle mechanic, until I read your message. Alright, see you then. Goodbye.